Rather sorry. Good morning, everybody. You're watching our mid-morning edition of Arirang News on this Friday, June 12th. Live from Seoul, I'm Shin Se-min. Before we get started, here are the stories following at this hour. Taking aim at the U.S. again, North Korea says there are no improvement in relations to be made between Kim Jong-un and President Trump on June 12th, the second anniversary of the Kim-Trump summit in Singapore. South Korea says additional upgrades to quarantine measures in Seoul and its surrounding areas are inevitable as cluster COVID-19 infections keep sprouting up. We have the details. COVID-19 is slamming the global economy. The OECD says the world's 20 largest economies saw a record contraction in first quarter. The U.S. trade body forecasts international commerce to slump 27% in Q2. Our starting point this Friday morning, South Korea's jump in new coronavirus cases from local cluster infections has been spreading quickly in the Seoul metropolitan area, forcing the government to extend its virus prevention guidelines initially set to come to an end this Sunday. Now this as the Prime Minister does not see an improvement in the COVID-19 situation, mostly in the metropolitan area compared to that of 2 weeks ago. For more, we have our Chang Tae-yeon on the line for us. So Tae-yeon, what exactly did the Prime Minister have to say?
Se-min, Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun held a briefing on Friday to announce that the strength and prevention measures in the capital area will be extended. Take a listen.
It's inevitable that we have to prolong the strengthened measures that would have ended in 2 days. The government will extend the period until the situation settles.
The government is advising people not to visit places like bars and is restricting events with mass gatherings. This move first was initiated in late May when the government shut down public facilities like museums and parks and advised private education institutions and bars to close until June 14th, and is now being extended until the situation improves. Such measures come as since the start of June, 97% of new cases were concentrated in the Seoul metropolitan area. Several cluster outbreaks, including cases at a door-to-door sales company and an indoor table tennis gym, have sparked concerns for health authorities. The cluster infection related to a table tennis club in southwestern Seoul has also led to infections at a welfare center for senior citizens. Since Seoul and nearby areas are densely populated, it's crucial to follow the COVID-19 prevention guidelines to stop the spread of the virus. Back to you, Se-min.
Thank you, our Chang Tae-yeon, with those updates. Shifting focus on this Friday, the second anniversary of the Singapore summit between leaders Kim Jong-un and U.S. President Donald Trump. We've got some tough words from North Korea that came through the wire this morning. In a special statement by Lee Sun-kwon, the regime's foreign minister, marking the anniversary of Kim-Trump's Singapore summit, he said the goal of the regime is to boost its force against the potential military threat posed by the United States. He added that past hope for Pyongyang and Washington relations have morphed into despair and nothing has improved. He also posed a rhetorical question, saying, is it really necessary for the leaders of North Korea and the U.S. to continue holding hands? Now, this is the latest in a series of statements out of the regime this week, taking aim at Seoul and Washington. The chairman of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff has reiterated that North Korea's nuclear and missile capabilities remain a threat to the U.S. and its regional allies. In a virtual keynote address to the U.S. National Defense University class of 2020 graduates on Thursday local time, General Mark Milley said North Korea is one of the many challenges facing the U.S. military overseas. He mentioned Russia and China's military buildup, moves he said threatens to challenge the global system and international order. Today, June 12, 2020, marks exactly 2 years since the leaders of North Korea and the United States met for their historic first summit in Singapore. Now, despite hopes the face-to-face between the leader Kim and Trump would eventually lead to the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, there has been little in the way of progress over the past couple of years. Our Lee Seung-jae tells us more.
June 12, 2018. It was 2 years ago today that U.S. President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un famously met in Singapore. for what was dubbed at the time as the nuclear talks of the century.
The history has held us back, and false prejudices and practices sometimes covered our eyes and ears, but we overcame everything and came all the way here.
At the end of the summit, the two leaders released a joint statement committing the North to work toward complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula in return for U.S. security guarantees. Trump and Kim also agreed to work together to improve bilateral relations, building a lasting and stable peace regime on the peninsula, and repatriate the remains of American service members killed during the Korean War. Fast forward 8 months since their cordial summit in Singapore, the two leaders met again, this time in Hanoi, Vietnam. Despite hopes the two sides would come to an agreement on a historic nuclear deal that would eventually lead to the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, there was no deal, and denuclearization talks have been at a standstill ever since. Most recently, when the U.S. State Department expressed disappointment over North Korea's decision to cut off all communications with South Korea, Pyongyang warned Washington not to meddle in inter-Korean matters and instead focus on their own problems. However, the legacy of the Singapore summit has not completely disappeared, as North Korea has not pushed the limits of strategic provocations, such as ICBM launches or nuclear tests. Marking the 2-year anniversary, the U.S. State Department on Thursday issued a statement saying Washington remains committed to implementing the agreement reached between the two leaders, and it's willing to be flexible. But there seems to be little time, with President Trump focused on the 2020 presidential election in November. While there's uncertainty over who the regime will be facing in the White House in January 2021, it's unlikely the North will be keen to start meaningful talks until they know where they stand. 이승재, Arirang News.
Moderna will start a final stage of a COVID-19 vaccine trial with 30,000 volunteers in July. The company says the goal is to prevent people developing the virus and keeping patients out of hospital with severe illnesses caused by the COVID-19. The announcement caused the company's shares to rise 6% in pre-market trading. Moderna has selected the 100 microgram dose for the final trial, and it says that with this dosage of level, it can deliver about 1 billion doses a year starting 2021. AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson are to start their phase 3 trials in August and September, respectively. The UN predicts a quarter-on-quarter international trade decline of 27% in the second quarter due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In a report released Thursday, the UN Conference on Trade and Development said this is an accelerated drop from the previous quarter, which saw a 5% decrease. Meanwhile, the GDP of the world's 20 largest economies fell by 3.4% in the first 3 months this year, the largest contraction since related data were first compiled back in 1998. According to the OECD, this is comparable to the 1.5% drop in the GDP of 20 nations in the first quarter of 2009 at the height of the global financial crisis. Stocks on Wall Street tanked on Thursday after worries of a resurgence of the coronavirus coupled with the Fed's gloomy outlook sent equity prices plunging. The Dow Jones, S&P 500, and Nasdaq all recorded their biggest one-day drops since mid-March, logging losses of at least 5.3%. And data compiled by Johns Hopkins University showed the number of new infections has gone up in states like Texas and California, as the total number of infections passed the 2 million mark across the U.S. with 112,000 deaths. Following the drop on Wall Street, markets in South Korea opened the day lower, with the Kospi starting more than 4% down and the Kosdaq also down by 4.5%. The COVID-19 outbreak here in South Korea is under relatively more control compared to several weeks ago. Now, this means many people in the country are choosing to travel to its own Jeju island. Now, that island offers quite a number of sights to behold, including unique geological features with scientific value. Our Lee Kyung-eun files us this report.
The island of Jeju, just off the coast of the Korean peninsula, was formed by volcanic eruptions. Its unique geological features and natural beauty make it a popular destination for domestic tourism, even more so with the halt in overseas travel. The top cone of Seongsan Ilchulbong, or Seongsan Sunrise Peak, is one of the island's most iconic spots. Rising out from the ocean, the sea cliffs offer a view that cannot be seen in other volcanic cones around the island. It's also known for its scientific value, given its well-preserved bowl-shaped crater and the inner structures of a hydrovolcano, which is why it is designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It takes roughly 20 minutes to reach the peak, where you can enjoy one of the most spectacular sunrises in the country.
I was really impressed when I came here for a school trip. I wanted to come here with my kid, as the hiking course is not that tough either.
The volcanic activities have also created this estuary where fresh water meets with the ocean. The tide's ebb and flow can be even seen in this lake. And in the afternoon, the water level goes down by up to 2 meters. Tourists can take a ride on one of Jeju's traditional fishing boats known as Taeu. The wooden boats were once used by haenyeo, or the island's iconic female divers. And people can use kayaks to get up close to volcanic cliffs. But Manjanggul Cave may offer a truly exceptional experience, taking you into actual passageways that lava once flew through. Meaning very deep in local dialogue, the tunnel shows the delicate footprints of the lava flow, from which its direction and thickness can be estimated.
I've been to other caves before, but I've never seen anything so big so far.
Some 170 volcanic caves have been discovered so far, of which 4 are open to the public. 이경은, Arirang News, Jeju.
Good morning. The northern regions will continue to see highs in the 30s this afternoon, while southern parts of the country should get some relief. Heat wave advisories in Daegu and parts of Gyeongsang-do and Gangwon-do provinces should be lifted soon, as rain should help to ease the heat today. The showers will start from Jeju this afternoon, expanding to southern provinces by tonight, and Saturday it's going to rain nationwide tomorrow. Meanwhile, the southern parts of the country could see passing showers during the day before downpours arrive tonight. Jeollado and Gyeongsang-do provinces could see up to 200 millimeters of heavy rainfall. The rest of southern provinces could see up to 100 millimeters along with strong gusts into Sunday. So with rain and warm temperatures, it's going to be a muggy weekend. And next week should not be as hot as this week though. That's Korea for you, and here's the international weather for viewers around the world.
And that wraps it up for this hour on Arirang News. Stay close, as we'll be back with more of the day's headlines coming up in our later newscast slated for noon Korea time. Thanks for watching.